Bob, why don't you give us a little update on DX matters?
Yeah, so solar flux index and sunspot numbers been way down this past month. Conditions have been quite variable on the HF bands. 10 meters been up and down, up and down. Ted Giske just pointed out a few minutes ago how much activity there is on 6 meters, and indeed, there is a lot of activity. We've been fortunate enough to have some decent sporadic across the continent here. And there's a lot of activity related to the grid chasers. So that's kind of made up for the lack of DX. At least here in the upper Midwest, it's been pretty sad. A little better out farther east, as some of you know. But with one big exception, I'll tell you, this CME that hit the Earth the end of May was a real humdinger. It really wasn't such a big flare. It was actually an M-class flare. It was, I think, like 8.2 M-class flare. Didn't even make it to X-class. But it was a very, very long-lasting flare. It lasted for 3 hours. So it put out just a tremendous amount of material toward the Earth. It was a full halo CME, meaning it was directed right toward the Earth. And it was traveling at a tremendous speed, something like 4 million miles an hour, which was pretty darn fast. And when it hit even sooner than predicted, and caught a lot of us by surprise. I didn't get quite the aurora activity that I had hoped for. I did work some East Coast stations on, let's see, that was on the 2nd, I think. Yeah, on the 2nd, I worked some aurora. On the first, the K hit 8, a K of 8. So that was a G4 class solar storm. So it was a real humdinger. But of note regarding 6 meters, there was a major opening on June 3rd to Europe. And this lasted a long time. I was just amazed at how long it lasted. I was kind of on the edges of it. I don't know if Gary, if you were following this on that day. Were you on then, Gary?
I missed that one. I did. I worked a 3D2 on 6 meters for a new one on May 30th, and I don't remember the date. It might have been the same day, but I spent about 45 minutes calling a D2 on 6 meters. Unfortunately, he just wasn't really getting into the Wisconsin. It was to the south and the east mostly.
Yeah, same here. So I was kind of on the fringe of this opening, and I worked into Austria and Slovenia, but that was the extent of it for me. But it was quite remarkable because it lasted many hours. And as somebody was pointing out, Ted, sometimes this is the result of one of these big CMEs. It can really give us quite a boost on 6 meters. So yeah, so that was something. And yeah, Gary pointed out D2UY in Angola. Now he's been popping in and out quite a few times now, and he's a pretty regular. He's pretty regularly showing up around 2000 Zulu to around 2130 Zulu. So point your antenna down there toward Angola around that time in the afternoon, and you may just pick him up. He's got a whole lot of callers. Not that many guys are working him, but you know, a whole lot of us want to put him in the log. So we also have on TR8CA, he's been showing up a little bit later than that. I think 2130 is about the time he's been showing up. And we have back now from Guyana, 8R1TM. He's going to be back until I think July 8th. So if you don't have that one yet on 6 meters, that's one to track also. And I know I need St. Vincent still on 6 meters, and J88TBI is pretty active. And then, you know, we have an important de-expedition coming up here from a club member who's, I think, is on with us right now, Dick Strasberg. Hey, Dick, you want to tell us what you got planned?
Okay, Bob. Hey, thanks. I wouldn't really call it much of a DX. It's more of a personal de-expedition than it is it's not a full scale thing. We got a family vacation. We're headed down to the Bahamas, to the island of Eleuthera on Saturday. We'll be down there for a week. So I'm taking an Elecraft KH1 with me, which is a QRP radio. And being a CW operator, that's going to be my mode. So I'll be Palm Tree portable, most likely on Tuesday and or Sunday and Tuesday. And it is an IOTA, so it does qualify for that. And then I also will be activating a park. They have a Parks on the Air entity down there, the Leon Levy Nature Plant Preserve. It would be an ATNO for CW operators because it's only been activated twice. So I'll be activating it for CW, so that should be an ATNO that way. But again, it is QRP CW. That's the way I operate. So Bernie contacted me for his DX bulletin. I said, this is not a full-scale de-expedition. I don't want to disappoint everybody, but I'll be on 20 meters. I have resonant antennas for 20 and 15. So hopefully the bands will be kind and some people will hear me and I'll get to work a few people.
All right, Dick. Well, I'll be looking for you.
All right. Thank you.
Hope to work you.
There you go.
So we got a couple other de-expeditions of note on 6. Bob Sutton, ZL1RS, is going to be in Vanuatu. Actually, what's today? The 10th. He'll be active starting tomorrow until the 28th. On his focus is going to be on 6 meters. Now he's going to be doing some EME, but most of his time will be spent on terrestrial. So watch out for Bob. You know, he usually has a pretty good signal. And we'll see what we can count on regarding sporadic E to TEP propagation. And actually, that happens to be the subject of our program tonight. So also from the Pacific, we have T30TTT. This is the Rebel group. These guys are going to be down there. They're also going to be operating 6 meters when the band's open. And I sure would like to work them on 6. And they're going to be there for 3 months. So apparently they have some project going on down there that they're involved in. So that's something to keep an eye on too. So that's about all I have for DX, except to note that this weekend is the ARRL VHF contest. This is 6 and up, and it starts on Saturday at 1800 Zulu. That's in the upper Midwest. That would be 1 p.m. on Saturday afternoon, and it runs until 2:59 Zulu Monday, or 10 p.m. On Sunday night. So if you got 6 meters, get on, work some stations. Maybe you'll pick up some new grids, and you might even work some DX. So good luck.
Thanks, Bob. That's great. Dick N9 EE was down in Dayton, I understand, and went to the DXpedition or the DX dinner and so forth. You want to share with us what you saw and heard?
Yeah, I'll start off with talking about the CW Ops, CW Operators Club on Thursday night. Had their dinner, and KO8 SCA, Adrian, you all know him. He was one of the featured speakers, and he talked about his DXpedition to Mount Athos in Greece, and it was very fascinating because it's a small island. It's predominantly a monastery, so they do welcome amateur radio operators, but you kind of got to follow their rules. Not too many radios, not too many antennas, and walk a little bit slower. Maybe even piously, I guess. But anyway, it was a fascinating presentation that he put on. On Saturday, there were the DX forum. Actually, there were two. They ran concurrently, and if that's the right word, but one followed the other. But what was kind of disappointing though is you know how popular Parks in the Air is as it impacts DX, right? It's become a thing now, evidence like what I'm doing, but what others are out there doing expeditions and they recognize that they're in parks and they participate in that. Unfortunately, the Parks in the Air forums were at the same time as the DX forums, so people had to choose where they wanted to go. It did impact the crowd on both sides a little bit, but it was good for DX Forum. They had a good sizable group, and I'll just pull up what they did talk about. A couple of presentations, 3D2Y to Rotuma was very good, very well attended. The 702WX to Yemen, that was a really fascinating one because I mean nobody really thinks about trying to get into a country like Yemen and operate amateur radio, and it was really dicey operations for him. All the things he had to go through to be able to get personal security for him and the others that were operating. It was a tremendous effort on their part. So he was richly rewarded by what he did. Then also a friend of mine, Don Greenbaum, is an N1DG. He was talking about Jarvis, and I know we've heard a lot about Jarvis, but he gave some of the inside scoop on the ribs, how they were put together. We were hoping that there would be one on display at Hamvention, but that didn't happen. But nonetheless, Don gave a great presentation talking about ribs and how it's not impact is the wrong word, about how it facilitated their capability to get on islands.
Okay, well, see, talk to us on what you got there. Sounds good, K5IZ. Good evening.
And how to get onto islands that are wildlife sensitive, and how the U.S. Wildlife Service is allowing these things because of all the care that is taken into putting together these kind of de-expeditions. There was a couple of other presentations, including one that totally fascinated me, DK6SP, Philip Springer from Germany. He leads a group of young guns, or young Turks, if you will, young de-expeditioners. Everybody's under the age of 30, and there were 8 of them that had just concluded one of their de-expeditions, and they're putting another one together for this next year. And they'll be seeking funding, of course. But the thing that was caught my interest is, being a CW operator, that we're talking about all 8 operators under the age of 30, and all were operating CW from their de-expedition, which was just tremendous. I think that was the V73 Whiskey de-expedition. So anyway, all in all, I thought there was a pretty good time. I was glad that they extended this to 2 different DX forums. Unfortunately, I had a medical emergency. I could not attend the DX dinner, but I understand it was wall to wall, 400 people, according to Bill, AJAP, and he said it extremely well attended, and everybody had a good time, of course. So that's what you got. Thanks for asking, Kevin.
Yeah, great, Dick. That was very, very good, and very few, if any of us, got there except you. So it was good to hear about all that. And I know that some of those forums are online now. I don't know if those are, but something to look for. So any other DX news? Okay, I got to get back to my agenda. So we're coming into our new club year, and dues run from July to June 30th. We have information on our website as to how to pay for our dues using PayPal or mailing it in to Jim Hugo, our treasurer. But we have some new business. We'll cover all three items. The first is do I have a motion for the 25-26? I got the dates wrong on the agenda. 2025-2026 dues. They have been at 20. Do we have a motion to keep them at 20 for the new year?
So moved.
All right, and seconded. So Bob, good.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, motion passes. I think we should, one of these days I gotta dig out the bylaws and read them. I know Bob shared them with me years ago and we talked about them. I haven't looked back, but I think last month we should have done officer nominations. So we'll have to have a motion that waives the timing for the officer nominations, and we need officer nominations. We have three positions. We have a president, a secretary, treasurer, and a vice president. So do we have motions for nominations?
If we don't have any motions for nominations, then I'll make one, Kevin.
Please.
I've had the pleasure of working closely with our president and vice president and our secretary treasurer, and so I would make a motion that we re-nominate all three of these individuals, and that we take a vote on this by acclamation.
So do we have a second?
I will second that one.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
So all in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. All right. Well, thank you, Bob. Thanks, everyone. It's great to work with this group. We're very proud of the programs we have, and for the last few years, it's been Bob who has been out there, finding our speakers. We certainly could use some help there. We get our stuff up on YouTube, and we have a lot of hits. In fact, I was having dinner with some soon-to-be former colleagues of mine and telling them about the Titanic radio and they show, which is our number one hit. And so they want to see it and hear it. So I urge everyone every once in a while just to go back and look through the library of our videos, because things which maybe you weren't interested in a year or two ago, you might be now, and there's probably a very good program on it. And we have some awesome programs on DXpeditions that are better than travel logs. They talk about so many more dimensions to putting together a DXpedition than you usually hear, and they're there. We always have, I think, just excellent discussions on the technical side of DXing, and we're going to have a great program tonight on propagation, and propagation is always one of our favorite topics because it goes to the science of why DX works for us. So thank you again for that. Any other business for the club tonight?
Kevin,
Yes.
I don't know if you've noticed, but there was a message that came in here from PE4EA, Carrie, to notify us that it's just been reported that W7RN Romeo Nancy has passed away. many of you should know, if you're contesters, that this is a major contest person, and I'm sure you've worked him many times. So sad loss to lose another big contest guru there.
No, that is sad. I would just make note also of that. I think it was last week, about 10 days or so ago. There was celebration of life for Lloyd N9LB, who held many officer positions at this club, was participant in many other clubs. Several of us had the chance to go and visit with Bonnie, his wife, and meet some of Lloyd's family who we didn't know. And I had a really nice long discussion with Lloyd's brother, and he had no idea that Lloyd was a real guru on lightning protection and so forth, and didn't know that Lloyd had made presentations, and was just thrilled that he could get a link and listen to Lloyd's program. So we miss Lloyd almost every day. I mean, many of us had relied on him for a lot of technical and practical help, and always gave so much to this club. So long before Zoom meetings, when we had in-person meetings, it was Lloyd who was hauling in the screen and the projector so we could have our programs and so forth. So it was a nice get together, and it was not the way we like to have face-to-face meetings, but at least we had a chance to let Bonnie know and Lloyd's family know how much we really appreciated everything that Lloyd had done for many of us, all of us. So with that, I will adjourn this meeting.